They told you the battle was outside of you, that the world was your enemy, that success was a lottery, and that destiny was dealt, not designed. But the truth is far more powerful and far more terrifying, because the battlefield was never out there. It was always within you. Every empire that rose, and every fortune that crumbled, every dream realized, and every soul that surrendered began not with circumstances, but with thoughts. Invisible, intangible, silent thoughts that shape nations, write legacies, and destroy generations. You are not at war with the world. You are at war with the limits of your own mind. If you master that, you master everything. Think about this. When Thomas Edison was laughed at over 1,000 times for trying to trap light in a glass bulb, he didn't crumble under doubt, because he had already done the hard part. He had already won the war between his ears. His mind was made, his belief was sealed. And when a mind is fully committed, the world bends not always immediately, but eventually, undeniably. That's not luck, that's law. And it starts with you. You don't need to find motivation. You need to reclaim the throne, the one inside your own mind that you've allowed fear, doubt, distractions, and excuses to sit on for far too long. Because here's the brutal truth. Most people will never tell you. You are already creating your future, whether you realize it or not. With every thought you repeat, with every belief you hold, with every decision you delay, or every fear you obey, and unless you take the wheel, unless you take full, ruthless ownership of your inner world, life will drive you into ditches you were never meant to crash into. The people who win, the ones who shape the world, instead of getting shaped by it, they don't have fewer problems. They have stronger minds. They don't wait for the world to calm down. They build calm within the storm. They don't chase success out of desperation. They attract it by aligning their inner world with a vision they refuse to give up on. Because here's what they know. You cannot plant weeds and expect roses. You cannot feed your mind garbage and expect gold. And you cannot let fear occupy your thinking and still expect fortune to come knocking. Your mind is either a weapon or a weakness, and the difference is choice. It was Carnegie's belief that wealth starts not in banks but in thoughts, that poverty is not a lack of resources but a lack of belief, that success is not a gift, it's a mindset, forged in clarity and action, repeated daily until it becomes identity. But look around today. What do you see? Distraction has become a drug. People are hypnotized by noise, scrolling for validation, chasing shortcuts, addicted to escape, and wondering why their dreams feel so far away. Let me tell you why. Because clarity is rare in a world obsessed with chaos. And success, real, lasting, soul-aligned success begins when you silence that chaos. When you turn down the volume of the world and turn up the volume of your vision. What do you want? Not what sounds good, not what they told you. What do you want? Because if you can't name it, you can't claim it. And if your vision isn't sharp, your actions will be scattered. And scattered effort leads to scattered results, always. Walt Disney saw castles before they were concrete. He saw joy before the world believed it could be engineered. And even when the banks said no, the critics laughed, and the setbacks piled high, he stayed loyal to his inner movie. That's the power of vision. That's the power of a mastered mind. It sees before others believe. It believes before results appear. And it persists even when everything outside says quit. But belief alone isn't enough. Belief is the spark, but discipline is the flame, and that flame must be fed daily by action, by consistency, by unshakable standards. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And he was right. But he didn't stop at belief. He acted. He moved. He failed forward. And in doing so, he revolutionized the world. You see, successful minds don't just wish. They work. They show up when it's inconvenient. They persist when motivation disappears. They embrace discomfort because they understand this truth. Growth is not a comfort zone, it's a battlefield. The world will try to pull you back. It will hand you excuses and distractions dressed as entertainment. It will offer comfort in exchange for your greatness. And if your mind is not anchored in discipline, it will drift slowly, silently, and inevitably. But not you, not anymore. You were born with the same power that built skyscrapers, cured disease, moved mountains, and split atoms. The same mind that created rockets and revolutions lives inside you. But potential without mastery is nothing but wasted genius. And genius, untrained, becomes regret. So train it, sharpen it, command it. Because if you don't, someone else will. And they will use your mind for their agenda. But if you do, if you master your mind, you unlock a force that no economy, no enemy, no excuse can stop. You become the architect of your life, the author of your story, the one who doesn't wait for miracles because you become the miracle. When you realize that the only permission slip you ever needed was your own decision, not your past, not your environment, not the people who never saw your vision. Just you standing in front of the mirror saying, I will not betray myself another day. Because most people aren't defeated by failure. They're defeated by hesitation, by overthinking, by waiting for perfect moments that never come. But the masters, the ones who rise above noise, above fear, above mediocrity, they understand that clarity comes through motion. That perfection is not the starting line, it's the byproduct of relentless, messy, purposeful progress. They act, and then they adjust, and then they act again. They don't need motivation to move. They move to create motivation. They don't wait for opportunities. They become opportunity. You want to change your life? Start with one decision, to stop waiting. The future you crave doesn't exist in someday, it exists in discipline today. Because discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you are called to be. And let's be real, your destiny isn't going to hand itself to you just because you read the right books or posted about your goals. You will have to fight for it, daily, internally, ferociously. You'll have to stare down your old patterns, break the cycles that have been quietly sabotaging you for years, the laziness you've justified, the distractions you've romanticized, the identity you've outgrown but still cling to for comfort. Discipline means saying no to your lower self so your higher self can finally breathe. It means rising when your body screams for comfort, choosing focus over entertainment, choosing growth over gossip, choosing the future over the familiar. Do you think Abraham Lincoln waited for approval before rising? Do you think Rosa Parks asked the world if it was okay to take her seat in history? Do you think Oprah became a billionaire by silencing her voice just to keep others comfortable? Number, they were rejected, doubted, overlooked, but never owned. Because they had already made the decision, my mind belongs to me, and through it, I will reshape my world. And you can too, but not if you're addicted to your excuses. Not if you're still married to your victimhood. Not if you're still negotiating with weakness like it's an option. Let me be brutally clear, the life you're capable of is so much bigger than the one you're tolerating. But it doesn't arrive by accident. It arrives by alignment. Alignment between your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your standards. Alignment between the person you pretend to be and the one you're meant to be, because every day you live out of alignment, you weaken your power. And every day you step into alignment, you become unstoppable. So get clear. What do you want your life to look like, not in 5 years, but in 5 months? Who do you want to be when no one is watching? What would happen if you gave yourself fully to your vision, no half efforts, no backup plans, no mental exit doors, because that version of you, they already exist. They're waiting on the other side of discipline, commitment, and ruthless clarity. And let's talk about that clarity. Clarity is not a luxury. It is the gasoline of greatness. Without it, your days are noise. With it, your steps are bullets, sharp, focused, unstoppable. Clarity is waking up and knowing your why. It's not just setting goals, it's owning them. It's walking into rooms with presence because you remember who you are and where you're going. Clarity cuts through fear like a blade through fog. Because when your purpose is clear, doubt becomes irrelevant. So journal it, speak it, visualize it until it haunts your dreams. Because the clearer your vision becomes, the faster your results show up. But clarity without action, that's fantasy. That's self-help entertainment. We don't do that here. We move, we build, we become. And we do it not just for the money or the title or the recognition. We do it because our future self is watching and they are begging us not to quit, not to fold, not to settle, not to let mediocrity dress itself up as realism, because that future version of you, they are powerful, they are focused, they are free. But they only exist if you show up, here, now, with fire in your heart and steel in your mind. So rise, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now, because destiny doesn't wait for doubters. It bows only to those bold enough to claim it. You don't rise by accident. You rise by inner revolution. And the next stage of that revolution? Gratitude. Not the soft surface level kind you post about once a year, but the kind of gratitude that shifts your biology. The kind that snaps you out of complaining and wakes you up to the truth. You are already rich. Rich in opportunity, rich in breath, rich in the raw material of greatness. But most miss it because they're too busy measuring what's missing. Gratitude is not weakness. It's not passivity. It's not pretending life is perfect. It is power. Because when you are grateful, truly, deeply, undeniably grateful, you rise above fear. You can't be anxious and grateful in the same breath. You can't be stuck in the past and grateful in the present. Gratitude grounds you, and when you're grounded, you cannot be shaken, even in pain, even in failure, even when the world goes dark, because you realize everything is growth. Everything is a teacher. And even your worst day is part of your best becoming. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years behind bars. Not in comfort, not in celebration, in prison, forgotten, beaten, isolated. But he didn't let it break him. He let it build him. Because greatness isn't born in comfort. It's born in adversity. And those who master their mind don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this creating in me? That question alone separates victims from visionaries. Because life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Even the betrayal, even the delay, even the heartbreak, your resistance is shaping your resilience. And maybe the world hasn't seen it yet, but deep down you have. That future, that version of you standing in power, clear, focused, unshakable. The world may only see the surface right now, your job, your current bank account, your outer reality. But you see the vision, the version that owns their time. The one who wakes up with fire, not fear. The one who speaks with authority because they know who they are and what they're here to do. And that version of you, that future self, they're not a fantasy. They're a command. And the bridge between now and that future is belief. Not passive belief, not I hope or someday belief. But the kind that wakes you up at 4 a.m. with a plan. The kind that keeps you standing when everyone else sits. The kind that says, I don't need proof, I am the proof. Because belief isn't wishful thinking. It's a decision. A decision to show up before the results arrive. To trust your inner voice above the external noise. To plant the seed and water it even when nothing's visible yet. That's what the greats did. That's what you must do. Henry Ford believed when every investor laughed in his face. Walt Disney believed when the bank called his dream worthless. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times and said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's not optimism. That's identity. That's a man so aligned with his vision that failure couldn't touch his spirit. And now, it's your turn. Because at some point, you must stop borrowing belief from others and start building it in yourself. You've got a mind capable of miracles, but you've let it be hijacked by limitations, by fear, by lies that say, not you, not yet, maybe later. Now is the time to take back the wheel, to stop being a passenger in your own life, to reclaim your thoughts, reclaim your time, reclaim your standard. Because everything changes when you raise your standard. You stop tolerating doubt. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop living on autopilot. And you start living on purpose, with intention, with alignment, with direction. Because when your mind is mastered, so is your reality. You stop reacting. You start creating. You stop surviving. You start leading. You stop wishing. You start winning. And not just for you, because the truth is your dream is bigger than you. There are people waiting on the other side of your courage. People you'll impact, lead, serve, inspire. People you haven't even met yet, waiting for the day you stop hiding. You don't just owe it to yourself to rise. You owe it to them. Your future family, your future students, your future audience, your legacy. Because one transformed life becomes a ripple, and that ripple becomes a wave. And maybe your name won't end up in the textbooks, but your impact will echo in the lives you touched, the energy you carried, the example you became. So what are you waiting for? Another year? Another excuse? Another voice telling you it's not the right time? This is your time. This is your line in the sand. This is your soul standing up and saying, I will no longer live small. I will no longer betray my gifts. I will no longer fear my own greatness. Because fear is not your master. You are. And the moment you decide to take full responsibility for your thoughts, your energy, your identity, is the moment you step into true freedom. Not the freedom of circumstance, the freedom of the mind. And when the mind is free, no one can stop you. Not the economy, not the critics, not even your past. You become a force, a movement, a living, breathing example of what happens when a human being wakes up to their own power. So wake up, not just from sleep, but from your limits, your excuses, your patterns, your fear. Wake up to your calling. Wake up to your discipline. Wake up to your destiny, because it's not coming someday. It's here. It's now. And it's waiting on one thing, you. So master your mind, and you will master your destiny. Once and for all. Thank you.